Hey y'all! Beating Pokemon Red using only one Lapras was very easy, but this week is going to be a labor of love. And that's because I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Crystal using only baby Pokemon. As usual, the rules are I can only use baby Pokemon in battle, and I can't use any trainer items in battle. By the way, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of these videos on my channel. Alright, so right off the bat, these Pokemon are actually trash, and not just because their stats are low. Well, I mean, yeah, but more on that later. For now, getting the Pokemon is going to be difficult in and of itself. Now, normally you'd have to breed with their parent Pokemon to hatch a baby Pokemon from an egg, and a lot of the parent Pokemon required can't be encountered until super late in the game. Thankfully, there is a method, I suppose you could even call it a exploit, that will allow us to have all 6 baby Pokemon before the 3rd gym. I'm going to briefly show you the stats and moves of each of these baby Pokemon, just to give you an idea of what we're working with. And as I'm talking, just know that I already have a very bad feeling about this. And again, I'll touch on this later, but the method we're going to use to get all the baby Pokemon will give us, objectively, the worst version of some of these Pokemon. So, yeah, that's fun. Bad stats, bad moves, bad baby. So, if you're one of those people that thinks a full team of Pokemon is going to make this an easy challenge, I'm going to need you to go ahead and crib your expectations. Alright, let's do this. Off at Professor Elm's lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Chikorita with Magby so that our rival will pick the Fire-type Cyndaquil. Our team will be comprised mostly of Fire, Ice, and Electric coverage moves, so I think Typhlosion is a good choice to resist those. I started with Magby, which is halfway decent for a baby Pokemon, you know? Not too hot, not too cold. It's just right. You might even say it's womb temperature? Yeah, that's a dumb nickname. Maybe my pun skills are getting a little uterusty? Okay, moving on. Magby starts off with just Ember and Smokescreen. Smokescreen's a nice option for when things get desperate, or if we end up punching above our weight class and need to cheese out a win against stronger Pokemon. But Ember, well, it's not really going to help us beat the rival Bubs here. His Cyndaquil resists Ember, but we're neutral to its tackles. Plus, Magby has crap defense and HP, so we actually take a lot of damage. And it's not until we grind up to level 9 that we're actually able to beat this dang thing, which I was committed to doing solely for the extra money. And you might be thinking, why are you so desperate for money? Well, then again, what would you do if your son's at home, crying all alone on the bedroom floor because he's hungry? And the only way to feed him is to, you know what? No, not gonna go there. Came really close to opening Pandora's juice box with that one. Some of you are confused, and 2 of you are laughing very hard right now, and I love you. After beating the rival Bubs and making many people click off this video, I head to the Violet City Gym to take on the leader Faulkner and his Flying Freaks. Magby struggles to win here because of crappy accuracy luck. Faulkner's lead Pidgey hits us with Mudslap, which leads to us missing a bunch of Embers, and we do not have the bulk necessary to afford missing any moves. Especially when Pidgeotto hits as hard as it does with Gust. Yeah. Luckily for us, I hadn't cleared out Bellsprout Tower yet, and after doing that easily with Ember, Magby is finally strong enough to win this stupid battle. A last-minute burn helps to seal the deal, despite us missing moves multiple times thanks to Mudslap. Man, that move is such a pain. So, let's just say, in both this battle and with diapers, Mud is the last thing you want to see. After flipping Faulkner like a flapjack, we are able to get our next baby Pokemon. One of Professor Elm's aides is waiting for us in the Violet City Gym to give us the Pokemon egg that we delivered from Mr. Pokemon. And that little Tamago just so happens to hatch into a Togepi. A Pokemon that I normally release as soon as it hatches, but today, we're actually going to use it. Togepi is just an eggy little bugger, so I decided to nickname ours Yolk Bloke. Now in Azalea Town, I'm ready to take on Bugsy the Bug-type gym leader for the Hive badge. And I've been switch training Togepi along the way, so that way we've got 2 decently leveled Pokemon to work with. As for this gym, well, we've already got this in the bag. All of Bugsy's Pokemon are weak to fire, so it's easy to kick their carapaces to the curb with combative combustion. I did try to use Togepi though, since, I spent all that time training it, but it just went down and then Magby finished the battle. So it turns out Togepi wasn't needed for this one, which is perfect since it was over easy. Well, look on the sunny side. That's the last of the yoke jokes, folks. Now that we've snubbed Bugsy's grubs, it's time to get the dub against Bubs. And his Pokemon aren't that difficult right now. And Magby manages to maul through his measly minions. Ghastly does, well, basically nothing, and Zubat could have done far worse than just bite us. I do switch out into Togepi for the Quilava, since I taught Togepi the TM for Swift. It ignores accuracy checks, which is great when Quilava likes to lower our accuracy with Smokescreen. And Togepi doesn't quite finish the job, but I'm proud of the work that it did as Magby comes in and seals the deal. Nice to know that when Togepi comes up short, we can always wean on Magby for a little help. So now that we've made it to Goldenrod City, we can finally get the rest of the baby Pokemon that we need for this challenge. At the daycare, the old man will give you the odd egg that they found, which hatches randomly into one of the newly introduced baby Pokemon. It also has a 14% chance to be shiny, so that's pretty cool too. The only problem is that we need to get 4 more baby Pokemon, and the old man is programmed to only give you 1 odd egg per game. And so here we have to use a little exploit known as the PC duplication glitch. By saving before you receive the odd egg, you can deposit it into the PC and change the PC box. Then, when the game attempts to save before changing the box, reset the game at just the right time, and then you end up back at the old man before he gave you the odd egg. But when you check the PC, the odd egg that you already deposited is still there somehow. I really don't know how it works, but it's great. It took me many tries to get the timing right, but eventually I got the hang of it, and then proceeded to duplicate 60 odd eggs. I figured that should be enough to get the 4 Pokemon we need. So now, there's nothing left to do but ride around on the bike for an hour or so until we hatch all the eggs. I'm going as fast as I can. It's all gas, no brakes to hatch these babies. Or as I like to call it, perpetual motion. Burp. Because babies, they get the gas when you feed them and they go like a little. After hatching a bunch of Pokemon we don't need, like Magbys, Igglybuffs, and Clefas, the first new Pokemon we hatched was a Smoochum, which I ended up releasing because we later hatched a shiny Smoochum, which I'll be using for the run. And no, I don't give 5/8 of a flying fart about shiny hunting or anything like that, but when it comes to the odd eggs, the shiny Pokemon are actually stronger. Objectively so, because normally the odd egg Pokemon have the worst IVs possible, 0 across the board. And without getting too into the weeds of Pokemon math, IVs are basically like Pokemon genetics that normally randomly vary from 0 to 15 and make each Pokemon's stats somewhat unique from other Pokemon of the same species. So having 0 IVs in all stats essentially makes these Pokemon the weakest version they could possibly be. But for some reason, the shiny odd egg Pokemon actually have pretty good IVs. The attack is a paltry IV of 2, but defense, special, and speed are all 10, which is actually pretty good. I'm not going to rinse and repeat through duplicating more odd eggs and then hatching them until we have a full team of shiny Pokemon, because, quite frankly, I don't want to do that. By the time I finished hatching our 60 eggs, we already had all the Pokemon we needed, so we're just going to go with that. And first up is Smoochum, an Ice-type baby Pokemon, which I nickname Children. Because, yeah. And after several more duplicate eggs, I finally managed to hatch an Elekid. This is a young buck, an upstart electric-type Pokemon, so I nickname ours Whipper Zapper. Then I hatched a crap ton of duplicate Elekid specifically, I'm not sure why, before eventually getting a Tyrogue. And, spoiler alert, but I hate this thing. Anyways, I nickname our little Tyke, Tykerogue. Last up is our Pichu, which I apparently didn't get footage for, so instead, check out this shiny Igglybuff I hatched, which I won't be using. So I released it. Wow, I'm actually probably the only person to willingly have done that. Anyways, here's the Pichu, which I ended up nicknaming Rugrat. Good lord, that was a lot of nicknames to come up for just one video. But with that, we finally have our team, the Battalion of Babies. Or as I like to call it, the Infantry? After a ton of grinding up Tyrogue, we're ready to take on the Goldenrod City Gym and the battle with Whitney's Miltank. And I put Tyrogue up front, even though it doesn't have a fighting move yet. Honestly, I have no idea why I did that. This Pokemon is so unbelievably bad. Yeah, we go down after just a double slap without barely doing any damage, and I send out Togepi to finish off Clefairy. And then I try to lower Miltank's attack stat with Charm. I'm pretty much planning to fight the Miltank with Magby, despite Rollout being super effective against us. And, well, that's what the Charms are for. And they're actually helping. Plus, we've upgraded our Ember to the much stronger Fire Punch that we got from the Goldenrod City department store. In fact, I taught several of our babies elemental punches that we bought from the store, and I think these will be our formula for success. We end up beating the bovine behemoth, and after the battle, Whitney doesn't want to give us the badge and she starts sobbing. Jeez, and I thought my Pokemon were the crybabies. Come on, Whitney. You of all people should know, there's no use crying over spilled Miltank. Alright, now that we've beaten the cattle, it's time to skedaddle. And the next battle with Bubs inside the Burnt Tower in Ecruteak City is normally a huge problem because of Haunter using Curse, but we can actually switch out here to remove the Curse if we want. Magby's Fire Punch is not quite a 2-hit KO, but thankfully the Haunter takes itself out with Curse, which is great because I can just switch into Smoochum. I go to hit the Zubat with Ice Punch, but hard to do that when you hit yourself with Confusion and get bit for super effective damage. Fun. Well, at least we almost took down the Zubat and... oh god, that's a sad sentence. Hey, look at that! Tyrogue actually managed to knock out a Pokemon. I mean, it was a friggin' Zubat, but whatever. Tyrogue immediately gets knocked out by Quilava, no surprise there, and Togepi takes out most of Quilava's health. But Magby is our last leveled Pokemon, so I guess I'm fighting with Fire Punch, which misses 3 times in a row. Thanks, Smokescreen. To get it some experience, I send Elekid out against the Magnemite just to switch it back into Magby to finish it off, which was a bad idea. I should have just let Elekid get knocked out, because Magby barely has any HP by the end of the battle. So that was a really close call for our little baby Pokemon. Or as I like to call it, an ankle biter nail biter. Next up is the Spectral Showdown with the Ecruteak City gym leader Morty and his gang of ghoulish ghosts. And this battle is really frustrating since his Gengar is, well, really strong and can put us to sleep with hypnosis and then recover its health with devastating Dream Eaters. Yay. And Smoochum finally learned a Psychic type move in Confusion, which is super effective against all of Morty's ghosts. And that's nice. Also, the higher IVs that Smoochum has for being shiny is immediately noticeable now that its level is on par with the others. I go into Togepi for Gengar to try to lower its attack stat with Charm so that Smoochum can survive a super effective Shadow Ball. Unfortunately, it still wasn't enough, but not for lactate of trying. After several more attempts, I finally managed to not get put to sleep by the Gengar, and we take it out. And after that, Smoochum is able to finish the job against Morty's last Haunter. We even get the extra Confusion just to rub salt in the wound. And with that, we've finally beaten Morty's ghosts. Or as I like to call it, Boo Boo Gaga. Now with the ability to surf outside of battle, I set sail from Olivine City and head to the Cianwood City Gym to take on the fighting type gym leader Chuck. Before I can get to him though, I have to get past these 2 back-to-back battles at the beginning of the gym. The first one involves a Hitmonlee that 1-hit KOs all of our babies with high jump kick and most of them with double kick. And I have to reset this one so many times. And even with the Quick Claw allowing us to move first every once in a while, Confusion just doesn't do that much damage and we keep getting swept. Elekid naturally outspeeds, so there is a chance for Thunder Punch to paralyze, but that almost never happens. And even when I do manage to beat the Hitmonlee, I usually have nothing left in the tank to take on the Hitmonchan. Swaddle we do about this. After some leveling, Smoochum is finally able to take down the Hitmonlee on its own. I mean, it did require high jump kick, missing, and landing an inaccurate sing, but, And after that sack of potatoes got peeled, we face off against the Hitmonchan, which decides to completely forego using Fire Punch. We still have to deal with Chuck though, but at least we're done with this back-to-back smack attack. Then again, you know what they say. It's always the terrible twos you have to watch out for. Speaking of people that kind of look like a chubby baby, next up is Chuck. And he's the fighting type gym leader, but he only has 2 Pokemon. So we have the numbers advantage with our team of 6, and the type advantage with Smoochum's Confusion. So we're gonna wreck this idiot. Never mind. I can't believe I'm still making these same mistakes after so many challenges. When am I going to learn my lesson? Okay, let's try this again. This time, Primeape uses Leer, and we 2-shot with Confusion after the Quick Claw activates on the second turn. So Smoochum has full health, but a defense drop, so I switch to Elekid. Thunder Punch does half, but we go down to a Dynamic Punch. And then Smoochum goes down to a Dynamic Punch. And then Tyro goes down to a Dynamic Punch, and oh my god, I'm relying on an eggshell to beat Chuck. And not a single one of those Dynamic Punches missed? That is so frustrating. Like when someone sends you a work email asking a question that you've already answered. That's usually when I reply, "Diaper my last email?" My fellow corporate dorks will enjoy that one. After dispatching the Lake of Rage Team Rocket hideout portion of the game, I then headed to take on Price, the Ice-type gym leader in Mahogany Town, and oh boy. You know we're in trouble when I have to preface the Price battle by saying that this was actually very difficult. Yeah, the seal goes down easy enough, but the Piloswine hits so hard with Blizzard. I try to set up Light Screen with Elekid, but then I get frozen for our troubles. And okay, that's not great, but it's fine, it's fine. I take down the Piglet with Magby, and then it's just the Dugong left, and oh my god, this thing is so annoying. It keeps using rest to restore its health, so I could have knocked it out like 3 times by now, were it not such a sleepy peepee. And we lose multiple Pokemon while trying to take this stupid thing down before Smoochum finally finishes the job with a critical hit Confusion. And by the way, if anyone's annoyed that I won because of quote-unquote luck, how about you get off your high horse and I'll get out of my high chair. Next up is the Steel-type gym leader Jasmine. And normally, she's one of the worst gym leaders, but honestly, it was one of the easier battles this time around. As long as you have a Fire type with a good move, it's usually enough to win. Her Steel types are weak to Fire after all, and her Steelix doesn't have the highest special defense, although Rock Throw does really hurt. Still, Magby's Fiery Fist makes quick work of these ferocious ferret foes faster than Jasmine can say, "Wap bop a doo bop ba dap bop bop." Oh, sorry. Got a little off the rails there. Didn't mean to baby rattle on and on. With 7 gym badges in hand, we now have to take on the rival Bubs in the Basement Underground during the Team Rocket Radio Tower anime arc. And we're at the point in the game where the fundamental problems with this challenge are starting to come to a head. It's taken me this long to almost get our team on par with the opponent's Pokemon, but considering how bad these Pokemon are, that means we're still at a disadvantage. And this is especially true when we face trainers with fuller teams of Pokemon like Bubs. I mean, I'm able to beat him, but it's really tough to do so. Oh boy, it's pretty obvious we need a serious grinding session, but I'm putting that off for as long as humanly possible. Because seriously, having to grind up these Pokemon is so mind-numbingly dull. It often leaves me baby on board to tears. Having slid through Ice Path and made it to Blackthorn City, it's now time for the final Johto gym leader, Claire the Dragon-type trainer. She completely wrecked us when we got there with a team of, under level 30s, so I took the time to grind up our team to level 40. That thing I didn't want to do. And it's enough to finally stand a chance. Just a chance, though. Dragonairs go down easily to a Never Melt Ice boosted Ice Punch, yeah, but the Kingdra is still a massive problem. Its Hyper Beam wrecks any of our Pokemon, but that can miss. So, I take the opportunity to paralyze it with Thunder Wave from Pichu, and that right there is literally the first useful thing that Pichu has done this entire run. Still better than Tyrogue, though. And once the Kingdra goes down, it's very easy to finish off her Dragonairs and win the battle. The grinding was kind of annoying, but in the end, it's no sweat off my back. After all, it's crawl in a day's work. before we reach the Elite Four, we have to take on the rival Bubs in Victory Road. And now that we're all at least level 40, Bubs isn't too difficult to beat. We've got super effective coverage for most of his team, and we've also got some pretty strong moves. Pichu, well, continues to do nothing, and when the Typhlosion comes out, I decide to get a little revenge for several rival battles ago where we missed multiple fire punches by absolutely decimating Typhlosion's accuracy with Smokescreen. And did I need all 6 of those Smokescreens? Probably not, but oh, did it feel good. Togepi even gets a 1-hit KO on the Kadabra, and that's kinda crazy. When did this thing get so strong? I guess that's what happens when you hit all these gyms. Togepi's completely yoked? Okay, now that's the last of the yoke jokes, folks. And with that, we finally made it to the Pokemon League, so here are the stats and moves. Let's start with the good news. We got a team of 6 Pokemon, which means at least we stand a fighting chance? I couldn't imagine trying to do this with just each of these individually, good lord. Additionally, our moves are actually pretty good. Well, except for Tyrogue and Pichu, who have basically done nothing this entire time. Pichu is just there to use Thunder Wave and then faint, and Tyrogue is straight up just a meat shield to throw into battle and let it faint so we can get a free switch into a better Pokemon. Well, I guess I started off with the bad news already after all, my bad. But just, I mean, look at the stats of these Pokemon, they're so bad. It's really obvious when I put them all side by side. Just look at these stats. Look at them one by one. Do those look like the stats of a good Pokemon, or rather, the stats posted on a neighborhood speed limit sign? Whatever. Just gotta play with the cards you're dealt. So let's try to make Lamas of it. Up first is the Psychic-type Elite Four member Will. His team is full of Psychic-type Pokemon, but a lot of them are also weak to Electric and or Ice, so I think we could at least do something here. He leads off with Xatu, as we lead with Elekid, and just barely miss the KO with Thunderbolt, as we barely survive a Psychic, which is not super effective by the way. It's okay though, because we can outspeed and check it, nope, lol, quick attack, get wrecked. Smoochum finishes it off, and then to avoid a family feud, we switch into Magby to fight the Jinx. Double Slap crits for a lot before we take it down, but then it's Pichu's time to shine by using Thunder Wave and then fainting. Hooray! I mean, actually, no joke, this was huge, since it allowed Togepi to solo the dang Slowbro after it used Curse to raise its defense. Slowbro gets paralyzed repeatedly, and I mean, not that I'm complaining, but it helps a lot. Exeggutor goes down in a single Ice Punch, but it all falls apart at the last Xatu. It single-handedly rips through the rest of our team, but that's no big deal, right? I'll just reset and win, right? No! This was the best attempt that I had after many earlier tries, so I'm just gonna do the painful but necessary process of grinding for some more levels. Yay! We're about halfway through the game now, and really starting to get worried that our team of babies isn't gonna be able to pull through to the end. I guess you could say we're having a midwife crisis. Alright, well, I head back to Johto to grind, but also I do a bunch of side quests to get type boosting items for each of our Pokemon. Now, we've got the Magnet, the Charcoal, the Never Melt Ice, the Black Belt, the Pink Bow, and of course the Experience Share. That doesn't boost damage, that just helps Pichu to level up. I get all the good Pokemon to level 50 and the others up to level 60, which is brutal because they definitely need the extra levels since they're so weak, but also, they're so weak, making it harder to grind with them. I mean, these items are pretty helpful, and the only way it could have been better is if we could have gotten the Twisted Spoon to boost Smoochum's Psychic. But then again, not everyone is born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Whatever, let's just get back to the Elite Four. Elekid is up, and this time around, our Thunderbolt is definitely a 1-hit KO on the lead Xatu. In fact, this battle is so much easier after all the grinding. Elekid actually solos the entire team. Crazy, I know. And it's amazing what a difference a few levels and the Magnet managed to make. And thank goodness too, because if I went through all that trouble to get these stupid Pokemon up to levels 50 and 60 just to lose a bunch again, well then I would have been pretty sorely chafed, exploding with anger. Or as I like to call it, a baby powder keg? The jokes are corny, but the anger is real. Next up is Koga, the Poison and Bug type Elite Four member. Koga's team is super annoying, But even so, we have really good type coverage versus his team, so I'm not really that worried. I lead off with Elekid saving Magby for the second Pokemon Fortress. Why? Well, I'm hoping to set up a sunny day on his second Pokemon, and then sweep his last 4 Pokemon with the 5 turns of Sun, boosting our Flamethrower. Ariados and Fortress both go down easily, but we miss a Flamethrower against the Muck, which, well, messes up our turn counter, and so the Sun fades before we get to the Crobat. But that's alright, we managed to win in the end, so no harm, no foul. Although, it would have been pretty cool if things had gone according to plan. Next up is the Fighting type Elite 4-member Bruno. And considering the difficult time we had in Chuck's fighting gym, I expected this battle to be a real bruiser, but instead it ended up being a bit of a snoozer. Heh, loser. Smoochum now has the move Psychic, which is super strong and super effective against Bruno's fighting types. Hitmontop goes down in one hit. Well, Hitmonchan does get a Mach Punch in for a lot of damage, but it goes down, and Onix can't withstand an Ice Punch. Psychic slams Machamp, but it actually survives on what I imagine was a single spiteful hit point before cross-chopping Smoochum into another dimension. Tyrogue comes in, and then despite healing with a Max Potion, between a combination of critical hits and cross-chop misses, it actually manages to knock something out for once. Hooray! Alright, Pichu, your turn. Get in there and do your job. Thanks, buddy. Once again, Togepi finishes off yet another battle. So, I guess you don't want to make this baby angry. Otherwise, it might Gerberzerk. Up next is the Dark-type Elite 4-member Karen. Before we head into the battle, I decided to teach Togepi the TM for Shadow Ball. It's a physical move that makes it so that Togepi can actually deal with ghost types like Gengar. First up is Tyrogue. Might as well throw in the Meat Shield for once since it can actually do super effective damage. I forgot to mention this before, but all of the non-shiny odd egg Pokemon have Hidden Power fighting. Although, since they all have 0 IVs and Hidden Power is proportional to the strength of your IVs, it's actually super weak. Base 31 in fact. Still, it's stronger than the base 20 power Rock Smash that we get, so what are you gonna do? And after that annoying Scumbreon, our team of type coverage makes its way through the rest of Karen's team, including Togepi knocking out Gengar with Shadow Ball. Told you it'd be useful. So, in the end, what's the takeaway here? Well, Tyrogue actually did something for once, so I guess I can't be super mad at it. I knew it would contribute something in Doula time. Now it's time for the champion battle with the last member, Lance the Dragon Master. And I'm fairly confident going into this one since we have electric and ice type coverage. We can hit everything on Lance's team for super effective damage, so really it's a matter of how much damage he can do to us. Elekid takes down Gyarados in a single hit, and Smoochum takes down Dragonite in a single hit as well. I'm a little worried about Elekid feinting to Flamethrower from Charizard, so I try to take it down with Togepi. Yeah, that didn't really work. Okay, go Pichu! Paralyze it with your Thunder Way to go, idiot! Great, awesome. Alright, let's just go back to the original plan. Charizard goes down, and holy crap, Aerodactyl's Rock Slide does a ton of damage. But, could have been worse. Luckily, Aerodactyl didn't go for Ancient Power, which has a chance to boost all of its stats, at which point we would immediately lose. So, to those of you who thought this battle would be cut and dry, not necessarian. And with Lance defeated, we have finally conquered the Pokemon League. But you know the challenge isn't over just yet. I'm always going to consider beating the final Trainer Red as the final boss of the run. Unless, of course, a Pokemon and/or Pokemon is and/or are just impossibly bad. Is that grammatically... whatever. I set sail upon the SS Aqua and head on over to Kanto to take on their 8 gym leaders to acquire all 16 badges and earn the right to challenge Red atop Mount Silver. Ultra sounds like a plan to me. Despite our babies being kinda bad, I got through most of the Kanto gym leaders without any trouble. So now it's time to take on the final gym leader, Blue. And yeah, this just does not go well. Despite me having battled through all the other gyms, and a lot of trainers along the way, we haven't gained many levels, so we haven't gotten much stronger than when we beat Lance. And all that experience that we did get spreads thinly across 6 Pokemon, and the lack of levels really shows here. Because unless we're hitting for super effective damage, our Pokemon are getting absolutely annihilated. Ugh, no, 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 no. I don't want to have to do the thing, you know, the thing where I have to level up a bunch and then I hate myself because I have to do it forever and I have to find something on Netflix to watch while I do it. Oh, God, no. Ugh. I'd rather take a peek-a-boot to the head. Yep, here we are, having a good time, having a good time. Okay, things are going all right. Pidgeot goes down. Rhydon's no problem. Then there's the Arcanine. Haha! This stupid thing takes out half of our team with a friggin' smirk on its face, and I hate it. It's a bad Mr. Doggy. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. You eventually take it out with Smoochum, weirdly enough. And of course, that was after losing 3 Pokemon and spamming Smokescreen to lower its accuracy. You know, whatever. Smoochum resists Alakazam's attacks, so we take it down with Ice Punch. And then the last 2 Pokemon are single-hit knockouts. Okay, well, this is how much we're struggling with Blue. Then I guess we've saved the worst for last. Or as I like to call it, out of the Crying Pan and into the Pass of Fire. Alright, with all 16 badges in hand, it's time to take on the final Trainer Red atop Mount Silver. And now, yeah, it's time for the worst of it. I don't even want to sugarcoat how bad this is, so I'll just show you. Even the Pikachu, I repeat, the Pikachu, is a problem for this team. I need Elekid to set up Light Screen so that we stand a chance against Espeon Psychics, but we often lose so many turns against the Pikachu healing and whatnot that it expires before we even get there and ends up not mattering. And even on this, the best of all my attempts, we get completely swept by Red's first 2 Pokemon. And seriously, Tyrogue, why are you even here? All of the time and effort I spent training it, and yet this Pokemon has contributed nothing of importance to this run. Or as I like to call it, a bassinet zero benefit. So like always, I'm back again with, I don't know, like 20 more levels I've grinded for each Pokemon? Seriously, don't even want to talk about it. Hey, on the bright side, are you looking for a good opportunity to catch up on One Piece? Put on episode 1 and then try this challenge. You'd be caught up by now! Okay, by this time we consistently knock out the Pikachu and sometimes the Espeon will use Reflect instead of Psychic, meaning we get to knock it out without taking any damage. And that's great. Blastoise is next, and it decides to go for Whirlpool for some reason. Whoa, why? Snorlax is next, and for the love of God, Tyrogue, will you please just do something for once? I go for Rock Smash, hoping to get the defense drops against this blubbery brick wall, and Tyrogue faints. Cool, alright. Okay, Smoochum, time to bag him and tag him. Or not. Oh, crap baskets. Okay, well, Togepi's return gets the job done thanks to the defense drop from Tyrogue, so I guess he's got that going for him after all. Whatever. Venusaur goes the way of the Dodo Bird, and then it's just Red's Charizard standing between me and a merciful end to this challenge. Elekid does a lot of damage before getting knocked out, and now it's all up to Pichu. To buy time for Togepi, to warm up the hot seat for Magby, to come out and finally finish this godforsaken battle. Oh, God, why did I ever choose to use these horrible babies? It's like I'm trapped in a prison of my own stupidity. Or as I like to call it, being under lock and bing key. And with that, the challenge is over. Thankfully. Hey, everyone, make sure to remind me to never do that challenge again. This had all of the worst facets of all of these challenge runs. Weak Pokemon, limited move pool, and lots of grinding. For real though, at several points, I seriously thought I might have bitten off more than I could chew, but thankfully, that's now a thing of the past. As always, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can find the rest of my Pokemon challenge videos if you want to check those out as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want early access to these videos and to have your name listed in the credits, consider becoming a member or joining on Patreon. And if you have a Pokemon you'd like to see, leave your suggestion in the comments and I'll probably do it. Next time, I'll be trying to beat Pokemon Red using only one Weedle. Wait, no, why? That's harder than this. Why would I do that? That's dumb. Someone, please stop me. Please! Help! Help! Whatever. Until next time.